There's a way to get twice as many Corvette parts for your time in No Man's Sky than you are likely aware of, utilising expeditions. Not only can you get well over 1,000 Corvette parts per hour doing this, reaching around twice as fast as shooting salvage containers with your Corvette, but you can even choose which parts you are getting. It's kind of the ultimate method at this point. The too long didn't read basics of this are that you first get yourself into the expedition via an existing save using the expedition terminal on the anomaly. You can do this method from any point after being able to summon the anomaly within the expedition. Load up your Corvette with all the parts you wish to copy. For max efficiency, loading it up to the full 100 allowable parts will grant you 93 parts per ship. Switch to the primary save via the pause menu. Then make a copy of the Expedition Corvette via the Expedition Terminal in the anomaly on your main save, and strip the ship of all but the non-essential parts. You may be thinking that it's a lot of work, and it is if you only plan to copy the ship once. To that you may say that you can only copy each ship once, but in reality you are only allowed to have one copy of the ship at a time. So provided we get rid of the husk once stripped of its parts, it's fine. This method is not worthwhile to use in abandoned mode, as the extra requirements of needing to swap the Corvette husk for a crashed ship due to the lack of NPCs will mean this is very inefficient compared to standard techniques. To start cycling the method and gain huge amounts of Corvette parts, you need to do just a bit of prep work. First is to be in an expedition and be far enough in it to gain access to the anomaly, which should be available after your first or second warp. You also need to have started this expedition from an existing save, specifically the save you want to get all the Corvette parts onto. You won't be able to pass these to a different save later. Think of an expedition started from the terminal on the anomaly as a sub-save, and so a temporary part of it. Next prep step is to get the Corvette parts you want to get on the main save. The quickest standard farming method for Corvette parts is to head to the planet with salvageable scrap like this one. You can see the salvageable scrap in the tooltip when hovering over the planet in space. Head down to a planet like that in a Corvette ship, get out of the seat without landing, and use your analysis visor to find salvage containers. They'll have this icon, a golden version of the buried technology icon. Fly over and shoot them with your ship. Photon cannon will do, but the Cyclone Ballista appears to have a wider area of effect with its splash damage and so may prove better for this. Once you have the 93 Corvette parts you wish to make more of, head to a normal station. For this part of building the ship to copy, you can approach it fast and dirty or super efficiently. The fast and dirty is quick to build now, but will result in much slower cycling of the method, and so lower efficiency of Corvette parts per hour. The efficient method has us put the basic build parts of a Corvette, which is the minimum required to count as a ship, which I'll refer to as a husk, off to the side. So we'll go to this side and build landing gear, a hab, a cockpit, landing bay, a reactor, a weapon and one engine. Then we can just connect a line of habs, walkways or hull parts to the other side of the build area and clump everything together, or even just to the middle, just far enough away. Building it like this will make it far easier to spam delete the parts when copying the ship, without accidentally deleting any of the husk and having to rebuild it. Once done, you may have a monstrosity such as this, at which point it's time to go back to your primary save and start cycling. Now back in the main save, I've just deleted one of my ships, which was a vulture I had a bunch from a long time ago for getting the parts. I deleted that to make space, or you can obviously also go to your freighter to put some in the dry dock. What we need to do is the next steps, which are to copy the Corvette, strip the Corvette of parts, trade the husk for another ship, then scrap that, then we can just repeat by copying another one. So as this is the sort of loop for creating lots of parts that we're going to start, I'm going to time this so you can see how long it takes and we can get a good idea of how many parts per hour we could get. All you need to do is go to this terminal, click create starship. You can then copy it for 2800 nanites. Now you might think 2800 nanites is a lot, and it can be depending on where you are in your save. However, it's really not hard to get a lot of nanites. Here I have a video for converting units to nanites, which is basically the best method in the game for getting nanites. It gets the most nanites per hour. If you want a guide for getting a ridiculous amount of units, here's another one for that, which will show you the best method for getting units in the game, which will allow you to get multiple billions per hour, and it's really not that much of a setup. So yeah, now you know how to get a lot of nanites. I've been doing this on stream recently as well, getting just hundreds of thousands of them. We'll start this run. So if we start from this screen. Let's start the timer now. So let's just go in here. We'll repeat. I'll show you I won't do it crazy fast. I'll just do it fairly relaxed. We've now copied that ship. It won't let us copy another one. You saw it was greyed out there. So our active ship is now that one. We'll head over to the teleporter to go up to the... Well, we'll go to the teleporter via this other teleporter. And get shears done. I just thought I probably should not edit any bits out in this as we're timing it. Go to any space station that is normal. So we just want one that isn't an outlaw station or something. And teleport there. Obviously the loading times for teleporting and such is going to be different based on your system, whether it's a powerful PC or a PS4. PS4 will obviously take by far the longest out of the options. Now we're here. The reason we don't want to pirate or abandon this space station, by the way, is because only normal ones currently have these teleporters. I'm hoping they'll add them to abandoned and private pirate soon. At the moment they only have these, so we'll go to modify. And then deleting everything from here is just going to make it awesome. Make it awesome doesn't make much sense. It's going to put it straight into the actual storage. So we can just do this really easily. There we go. I'm just whacking delete while I hover over everything. You might want... It might be quite easy to miss something when it goes red like that, if you're not keeping an eye out. So do keep an eye out for stuff like that air purifier there. And last one here. Oh. So there we go. Everything is connected again. We can just go out like that. Apply edits. And now I'll just quickly show you, even though we're on a timer, all the parts are now in there. Happy days. Hopefully we don't have our inventory full. No, we don't. So then we need to replace that with a ship. Now that over there is just a husk. It's the bare minimum to count as a Corvette. And it's really made up of cheap parts. So we're just going to make an offer from the Lifeform Starship, negotiate and trade. We'll exchange that. This is really not worth much. As you can see, that's worth quite a bit. If you actually care about the getting units back, you can actually make quite a few units doing this. So you'll make the amount of... You could make probably 30 million per scrapping if you pick the right ship, which you could then do to get way more nanites than it cost you by just trading in a pirate system. So we just traded for that ship. We're going to now begin salvage analysis and scrap it. Claim scrap. The only thing you need to think of here is to make sure you have room in your inventory. The fact that they added the ability for it to all go into your scrap cache no matter what now is great. Also, you might want to switch ships there. So get back in this, head out, and to the anomaly. So when I did my original test of say 1,100 items per hour, that was based on like 6 minutes per go. As you've seen, with having that ship made so efficiently to delete the parts and get 93 parts that quickly, we're actually looking to get 93 parts with a full loop of this done. The step 3 of copying the Corvette, step 4 of stripping it of the parts, and step 5 of trading and scrapping the ship to go and repeat within 4 minutes. And if we can get back to that terminal here in the next few seconds, it's going to be that. And yeah, so stop 4 minutes and 4 seconds. So that's a pretty quick run. Now if I quickly do the maths, so that run was 4 minutes and 4 seconds, which is 244 seconds. An hour is 3,600, so that gives us a total of 14 and something complete copy and whatnot per hour, which gives us a rate of 1,372 Corvette parts per hour doing this method, which is more than double, or definitely at least double of the fastest other method of gaining Corvette parts. So you can keep doing this, repeat the steps 3 to 5 of copying it, get all the parts off, trade it with another ship, scrap it, and just keep going back. And as you can see, I'll just show you now that now we've traded and scrapped that ship, it will allow us to make another one. So we can now copy another one. You can copy this as many times as you want. You're just only allowed to own one of them, of this specific ship at once. There is a workaround, of course, to own multiple, but I'm not in on that at the moment. I've never looked into doing that. I know Ricey, I believe Ricey, of Ricey's Starship Emporium channel, has got a video on how to do this, I believe, and I think Captain Steve also knows. And probably a number of other people. But yeah. If you are aiming to get a lot of specific Corvette parts, you may find that farming them on the expedition side of the save to be a little inefficient. This is because the extra that you'll get while farming the others will either be lost and turned into simple units, or take up needless space in your expedition terminal inventory. To avoid this, you can either use the expedition terminal inventory to pass a bunch of parts over in the first place, to then use to copy, or you could prepare the Corvette on your main save, then copy it to the expedition save. You may need to build a new Corvette in order to put those parts back on to then copy back, as it may not allow you to copy back a ship you already copied over, or just because you already own it. Also note that this method is not viable for the Corvette expedition, which is active when releasing this guide, due to the Corvette expedition preventing the trading of ships or even owning more than the base Corvette it gives you. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other tips I didn't cover here, there will definitely be people reading the comments who will benefit from you whacking it below. Thanks all. Peace.